Hi friends, Robin here from Cheese from Scratch, and in today's video I'm going to be teaching you how to make Boursin cheese. Now, teaching is maybe, we can use that word loosely because I'm actually modifying Gavin Webers' recipe for Boursin cheese, and I've been wanting to make this modification for a while because I've made his regular Boursin cheese recipe and it's really good, but I could kind of see some modifications that I wanted to make, starting with I actually wanted to use fermented milk. So in Gavin Webers' recipe he uses milk that you just heat up and you add a lemon juice, I believe is the acid that he adds in, and then that turns the cheese into curds. But I wanted to use milk that has already fermented, so I'm going to be using Clabber culture today, and I have myself a big old jar of Clabber that I cultured yesterday and is ready to use today. If you don't know about Clabber culture, it is an amazing product. It's a raw milk starter culture. I feed it just like how you might feed sourdough starter to keep it nice and healthy. I feed it every single day, and then I use it as a cheese making starter culture for all of the different cheeses that I make. I also just use Clabber itself as a really useful product in my kitchen. So this is what we're going to be using today. I just got in from milking, so I do have to feed my Clabber culture. If you want to learn more about how to start one and everything, you can go ahead and check out the video that I'll link down below on how to start one. But really easy to start and then really easy to maintain. So I'm just going to take a little scoop of this, feed it to new fresh milk from today. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put a loose lid on this. I actually have the day before's Clabber culture, so I'm just going to take this off and then I'll throw this into the pot. Might as well use it up. So it's a very versatile product. I use it in all sorts of different ways. Like I said, check out that video. But now this is going to sit on the counter and it's going to culture, and tomorrow it's going to be nice and thick like this one. Alright, so I have Gavin Webers' instructions. I watched his video. I'll link his video down below. But I watched his video. I grabbed all the instructions that I needed to make this cheese. Like I said, I've made his regular one before. It turns out really great, but I just wanted to experiment and use some fermented milk. So the first step is that we're going to be putting our Clabber culture into the pot here. So if you were following Gavin Webers' recipe, just watch his video because he puts liquid milk into the pot there. So this is going to splatter. All right, so that is a nice gelatinous mass in there right now. You can see that. Just looks like I dumped a bunch of yogurt in there. So it's nice and solid. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in 3 garlic cloves. So Gavin Weber has liquid milk in here, and he throws 3 garlic cloves in and they heat up with the milk before he adds the acid in. My garlic is starting to sprout, so that is also your reminder that check on your garlic. If it's starting to sprout, maybe you need to ferment it. All right, so we're going to throw that in, and we're going to heat this up to 113 degrees. Let's see his recommendations. And I don't go by, if something says go up to 113 degrees, if I hit it at 113, great. If I go to 115, I don't worry about it. Oh, I forgot to add in the creme fraiche. So he adds in some creme fraiche, which is basically like sour cream. So I have some homemade sour cream here. I also have a sour cream tutorial. I'll link that down below. Super easy to make, especially if you are keeping a Clabber culture. If you're keeping a Clabber culture, it's just like basically feeding cream your Clabber culture. It's so easy. So we're going to be using 1 cup of creme fraiche. So we're doubling it. We're going to be using about 2 cups of this creme fraiche, which is just my sour cream. If you wanted to use just Clabber, you could use that too. But I'm just going to use what he calls for. So it's nice and creamy, you can see. Really the only difference between this and Clabber is that I fed my Clabber culture to cream. And so Clabber culture has actually changed my sour cream game. Before I made it with a mesophilic culture and it was fine, but the taste sometimes just tasted kind of bland. You got that really kind of sour creamy taste when you use Clabber culture, well-fed Clabber culture, one that you've been keeping for a while. All right, so we're gonna take about 2 cups there-ish. We're gonna throw that into the pot as well. My hands taste a little like garlic. So this is what it looks like at this moment. We've got a little bit of whey starting to seep out from the Clabber because I dumped it. Anytime you kind of manipulate a curd mass by dumping or stirring or doing anything, you're going to start to have whey get released. I like to be gentle with curd masses usually and not dump them, scoop them rather, but I'm not really caring for this recipe because we are trying to release whey. Anyways, it's also just a fresh cheese. All right, so I'm going to turn the burner to like medium low, I think. I have a gas stove, so it's a little bit hotter. So we'll put it like on 2 because of my gas stove, but probably medium low would be good if you don't have that. So I'm just going to give this a little stir. Do a little stir here. That creme fraiche looks good in there. We're calling it creme fraiche today. Usually I just call it sour cream. The funny thing about dairy products, and when you start making more and more dairy products, you're going to start to see that there's so many products that are basically the same. They just get called a different name at the grocery store. And so that just makes it a little bit easier to modify recipes and stuff like that. And especially like if you're do a lot of home cooking and stuff like that, like us. Like, you know, I make like maybe 3, 4, 5 main kind of fresh cheeses like yogurt and Clabber and sour cream and cottage cheese and maybe ricotta, but those things act like, if I have those 5 things in my fridge, I can make a lot of different recipes. Oh, cream cheese I make too. But, you know, I can make a lot of different recipes with those ingredients. So we're just slowly heating up here. I should probably put my thermometer in there. Everyone is always impressed with this trick. It's like my most talked about hack. And my thermometer looks so bad. It was involved in a pig roast, so it looks a little charred, but she's as clean as I can get her. I have another one, but the battery died on it, so I have to get a new one when I go to town next. Now, in Gavin Webers' recipe, he heats the milk up and then he adds a acid, like a lemon juice or something in it. Now, the reason that I don't have to add an acid into mine is because my milk has already fermented, and when it ferments, the lactose is actually fermented by a type of bacteria called lactic bacteria. And lactic bacteria cause, during the fermentation process, they cause lactic acid to be produced. So that's how you get coagulation of that milk. Why it is all coagulated when it's fermented like that is that the milk has got so acidic to a point that you can actually, that is actually going to coagulate. Now, anytime you have coagulated milk and you start to heat it up, you can actually have the whey separate and it go into curds. Traditional ricotta is a good example of how this acid can actually cause, and heat can actually cause that whey separation. This is just me rambling, but I just want to kind of explain why you're going to not need to add that acid in. All right, so we're at 116 here, a little over 113. I'm actually just going to keep heating it just for a little bit longer and see if I can get more kind of curd separation here. It's very milky whey, and there's 2 reasons that could be why. That could be from the creme fraiche and it just not really getting swept up during this heating process, or it could be I just haven't heated the curd mass up enough yet to kind of get optimal protein separation here. So I'm just going to heat it a little bit higher. Maybe we'll go to like 140 since this is an experimental cheese. 140 is where I usually make my cheese whiz recipe. That's where I usually heat the milk up to. So let's just see what that brings us. All right, so we're almost at 140 here. It's looking a little bit clearer than it was. I've changed my plans. I'm actually going to go right up to about 190 just before boiling point, because that's going to allow me to actually extract all of the whey proteins. So if you've ever made ricotta, that's how you do it. So I'm basically going to make ricotta here, except for I've got garlic cloves in there. And then I'm going to use that as the base of my Boursin cheese. And that's just going to give me the biggest yield and also the highest protein. I'm going to be able to strip that protein out of the whey. So when you heat up to that high temperature of 190, you're stripping the protein out of the whey. And so that's going to hopefully give me a really nice creamy, high protein base for my cheese. So we're definitely going off book here, but I'm excited to see how it turns out. And you can see as the temperature does get higher, the whey is getting quite a bit clearer. So obviously, because we have heated it to such a high heat, this is essentially pasteurized out any of the bacteria that we had in there. So this cheese is no longer a good for your gut cheese, but it's still going to be tasty. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off. You can see there's some little ricotta where I touched there. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to take my thermometer out, turn the burner off, take it off the burner, and so that there's no more heat. And then you're just going to put the lid on. So I'm going to move that off of the burner here. Alright, so I've been hanging this for a while, a couple hours. It's definitely not quite ready yet, but I'm sick of waiting for it, so I'm going to strain it through a fine mesh strainer now. If I did this again, which I will do it again, I would heat up to the 113. I feel like that was a bad mistake. So 113 next time. So it looks very cottage cheesy. I should have just done 113. It's okay. So these curds kind of cheddared while they were draining. We're gonna have to whip these, I think, to get them into a good consistency for Boursin. They're totally a cottage cheesy look here. But you know what? Actually, this might be kind of not too bad, because normally I would have to take these garlic cloves out and chop them up, but I'm just going to pulse this whole thing in my food processor, so it's going to remove a step. There's a win. Okay, in all my talking, I missed a step. When you heat it up to 113, you were supposed to let it sit for 30 minutes. So next time I will try that. Anyways, this is turning into a completely different recipe than this one. But now what I'm going to do, I've let it drain for 2 hours, so I'm kind of on par there. I'm going to actually, so in Gavin Webers' recipe, he whips up whipped cream and makes it into whipped cream and then mixes it with the curds. I'm actually just going to use the rest of my sour cream. So he calls for half a cup of whipped cream. I'm going to use a cup of sour cream because I've doubled the recipe. And so I'm just going to blend this all together into my food processor here. So we have our, this is sometimes what recipe development looks like. She ain't pretty. These are really nice cottage cheese curds, though. Okay. I've made more dishes than I cared to, but that's okay. I experiment, so you shan't have to. Alright, we're going to dump all that sour cream in there. And then, hopefully that wasn't too much. We'll see. And then, what else are we going to do? We are going to add the salt and spices. let me look how much we need. Okay, we need 1 teaspoon salt, so 2 teaspoons salt for the amount that I'm making today. Oops. Two teaspoons salt. Garlic puree, which will be in there when those garlics get whizzed up. 2 tablespoons dried parsley, so we're actually going to use a 1/4 cup because 4 tablespoons because I've doubled it. We're just going to wing it. Looks like enough. And then dried chives. 3 tablespoons dried chives. I actually don't have chives, so we're using onion powder. We're measuring with our heart. There we go. All right, we're going to buzz this up and see what it becomes. All right, basically it's like whipped ricotta. Making whipped ricotta boursin. Okay, let's see. Oh, looks pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna get a clean spoon. So it's about this consistency right now, which is actually really close to the consistency when you make Gavin's. And then you put it in the fridge. Ooh, it tastes really good. Okay, I'm gonna put it into the fridge in a bowl and it's going to thicken, supposedly. It's actually super good. So Gavin puts his into molds and then uses parchment paper or something in the molds so that it actually looks like boursin when it comes out of the fridge. It looks like how you buy it at the store. I'm not going to do that. So we're just going to have it in a bowl, but I'll show you in a couple hours once it's refrigerated what she looks like and if my thoughts on what I would do differently and what I would do the same. I can already tell you I would definitely not heat it to the 190. I would not make ricotta from it. Put it all in. It's going to be a darn good dip, whether it turns into boursin or not. Okay. Will it all fit? With that spoon. Alright, there should be big old jar of maybe boursin. We're going to throw her in the fridge and I'll come back in a couple hours and show you what it looks like. Alright, so it's not been that long, only maybe an hour or so, but it certainly did thicken up and I think it will get thicker. Taste-wise, it's good, but it's a little grainy because I made it into ricotta. Next time, definitely gonna try the 113 degrees. Gonna let it sit for 30 minutes and then strain it off, and we'll see how that works. This tastes a lot like boursin cheese, but that grainy texture is just not quite right. But it tastes really good. We're definitely gonna eat this all up. But yeah, I'll be happy to get rid of the grainy texture. Cool. Thank you guys for watching this video. Too bad it didn't turn out like the most perfect cheese ever, but I still have a lot of experimenting to do, so we're gonna see where this takes me, but I'm definitely going to heat that milk to a lower temperature. I think that it will work. I liked that I did the sour cream versus doing the whipped cream like Gavin Webers does, so he whips cream and then mixes it in. I like that I added the sour cream in there. I think it's gonna do just the exact same thing. Yeah, so all in all, it tastes like a really good boursin version, but it's just a little bit too like there's a bit of a graininess to it, and that's just because of the type of cheese that I made as the base for it. So definitely something to work on. This would work with a cream cheese, and I actually make a variation of Boursin around Christmas usually that is just basically a cream cheese, but I've never actually mixed it with a sour cream, so I'm excited to maybe try that version. Excited to try another cooked version at a lower temperature. So yeah, a few little things that I want to do, but more experimentation, always learning with cheese making. So thank you guys for watching my video. If you haven't already, press subscribe down below and come back next Monday because I post a new video every single Monday. If you haven't heard, I also have a new book coming out. So it is open for pre-orders right now. It's a physical hold in your hand cheese making book that turns out a lot better than this mess that I did today. It's not a mess. It's fine. It's still going to be good. That is proof that even if you have a cheese fail, you can still eat it. Anyways, new book coming out. You can pre-order it now. I'm really excited about it. A lot of people are really excited about it. So check that out below too. And we'll see you guys next Monday. Okay, bye.